Good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Thursday, 20 success. Here's a daily morning where you guys get to be a part of the conversation. Remember, you can join me weekday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. Love to have you here. If you're here live, like Mike Thibault and Allison Foy and Ron Siegel, say good morning. Ron Siegel over there eating or celebrating National Truffle Day. Maybe you're having some truffle cereal, truffle in your Captain Crunch this morning. Tim Klyla, good morning, sir. Anyway, if you are here this morning, say good morning. If you are watching on the replay, don't forget to give me a hashtag replay in the comments. It does make a difference whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. I do appreciate you doing that. If you're on Facebook, don't forget to smash that like button, tag an LO friend. Share this in a group, one of the mortgage groups, Mortgage Loan Officer Network, Brokers Are Better, the Mortgage Pub. Share us in a group. Always appreciate you doing that. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and give it the thumbs up down there, subscribe, click the notification bell, all that good stuff. Remember, if you'd like, you could sign up for our free written lock advice email. It comes to your inbox each and every weekday morning, www.ratelockadvice.com. You can also sign up for our text alerts at ratetextalerts.com. If you'd like to get a daily text reminder that I'm going live, just so that you know when to hop on, you can check out hmmr.io. That's right, hammer.io/reminder. And last but not least, time to go out and get loans, people. Go check us out at originatorssuccess.com. Check out our elite membership. Schedule a demo with Austin. Let him show you why we can help you to get loans from Google and social media. Yesterday, we sent out a newsletter to about 130,000 people and already got a couple of, I should have had them ready on the screen. I'm sorry. Got a couple of replies to our support team that they turned into leads. Not necessarily loans yet. It's only been 12 hours, but they did turn into leads, people inquiring about leads and people checking into rates. One of the things that we do on our newsletter is have people sign up for the weekly rate forecast, and we can tell who's interested, that kind of stuff. So anyway, go check it out. If you're here this morning, say hello. Let's see who else we got this morning. Never hurts to say hello to my friends yet one more time. Mr. Ron Siegel, Mike Tio, Allison Foy, Tim Klyla. We also have Yasmin Martin. Good morning, Yasmin. On YouTube, I see Rob Stewart, Kim Mason, Deb Dickinson. Good morning, Chris Perfor and Kelly Cargill, Bobby Searson. Tim said, I locked everything before the Fed meeting. Thank you for the market improvement. Yeah. You know what, Tim? Again, listen, we made the comments all they were. We'll talk more about it. It was obviously a lot more dovish than expected. Rates basically improved back to Monday's levels, which were better than Tuesday's locking levels. I get you. But it really wasn't that big of a difference. And I think that there was a lot of risk heading into the meeting. So Megan Lindbergh, good morning, my friend. Nathan Einkorn, great to see you, sir. Dacia Briley, Ron said, I caught 4 times. The press tried to get Powell to get into rate increases without success. Yeah, I would go with that. They kept going into that whole hike thing, which I knew they would. And that whole, Ron and I were actually kind of texting back and forth during the press conference. It was a lot more dovish than it could have been, than expected to be. And we'll talk more about that, but that's why it was good. But even as good as it was for rates haven't really improved past levels that we saw on Monday. So good morning, Kyle Mazika, Stan Crowley, Mallory Fodiatis, Mark Hirsch. And that was the over, by the way, on the increase, the hike questions. I said we would get 3. I said 3. So if you counted 4, that's the over. Good morning, Mr. Robert Bashirs, Ashley Mulcahy. Good morning. All right, y'all. Let's get into this. Let me pull up my captions here and give it to you. So rate sheets this morning are going to be better than yesterday. Very similar to Monday, as a matter of fact. And let's go ahead and, oops, there we go. Let's pull this up. Let me see if I can zoom in and, all right, cool. So taking a look here, you can see this was yesterday between this dotted line and this dotted line here. That was yesterday, right? So yesterday we had this was yesterday between this dotted line and this dotted line. Duh. This was Tuesday. So on Tuesday, Monday we were here, things were good. Looking at, say, Mortgage News Daily as a reference point on Monday, which was the 29th, we were looking at rates like 7.43, right? On Tuesday, they jumped to 7.5. The reason they jumped was because you saw mortgage-backed securities take a big drop here, right? So we dropped early on the day, had another big loss during the day. That's why you saw rates go up on Tuesday. Now, yesterday on Wednesday, they improved, but they've basically only brought us back to these same levels. And in fact, let me go ahead and just bring up a quick screen capture here. And I mean, I'll just make it super, super abundantly clear. This was the level. That's where we're at now. Yeehaw. We're basically back to Monday. I mean, it's not like we were expecting to see some kind of trend where things would go rolling down, and they haven't. They haven't, and they're not going to. So yes, this was the worst level when you're locking in, but again, for maybe an eighth in rate at worst, the risk that we were dealing with. So I don't regret that at all. Taking a look here today, reprice risk is moderate. We've seen right now mortgage-backed securities are up 8 basis points. We've seen them go up, fall down, go up. We've seen them kind of move around. We may see a little bit more of a sell-off today. We could see bonds slip, and that's going to put lenders in a position to reprice worse. Want to pay attention to this 10-year treasury yield as well, 4.64. Again, I could draw a quick screenshot of this one. Let me put this into a 6-month chart, though, so you can really see, and we'll draw a quick screenshot here. Let's pull this, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. You can see the trends here, right? Like trend up, trend down, trend up, trend over, trend down, trend up, trend over, trend. There you go. All right. And then right now, we are really, I'm going to just pop it here. We are just really in this range right here. Whoop. There we go. Okay. Bear with me a minute. Where's the delete button? There we go. Okay. So, I mean, we are very much moving up and down in this range right here. And if we see it push above, that's going to be bad. If we see it push below, that would be good. We're looking for yields to drop. It's the opposite of mortgage-backed securities, right? But we have been in this 4.64 range that we've seen here for so long. I just don't, I'm not really that excited about this is the bottom line. So the outlook is rates are not going to change anytime soon. They're definitely not going to fall significantly. In order to see rates fall, we need to see big indicators of a softening labor market. Tomorrow's labor data would have to come in super weak, and that's unlikely. We'd have to see a weakening economy, which again, I know that Ron points to a lot of the small items in the economy that do show weakness, but overall it's not weakening. Inflation would have to fall again. We get the next inflation report. The CPI inflation data is going to come out on May 15th. We got about 2 weeks till that comes out. Not only would that one have to show, that it's moving lower again, but we'd probably need to get 2 months in a row to really see some momentum on that. And Fed rate cuts have to enter the conversation again. Right now, if we take a look at the expectation of Fed rate cuts, markets are still pricing in 1 cut by the end of the year, possibly 2. That's about it, right? It's really, there's not a big difference here. If we use the compare feature, we could see that, a week ago, a day ago, and yesterday, this has not changed. A month ago, it was very different, but that's going to change very soon because we've been a couple of weeks now with these really set levels, and we haven't seen expectations change. Now, the good news is, and let me go ahead and pop this off out of the way, and I'll move this, and we'll pull up your comments as well and go over those. So let me just close this and pull my head up here. All right, so let's go over a couple of things. So first of all, let's go over your comments, and then we will do that. So Mike Tebow said, I noticed in the past on Fed days, mortgage-backed securities are a little better until 2. That's normal, yes. That's what we usually see. Then an immediate change at 2 when the statement comes out. Going forward, I'm waiting to lock until after 2. You actually want to wait until around 3, Mike, because that's when you see the reaction to the Powell speech. And the Powell speech is the big deal. So let me get this off out of the way for a minute here. If you take a look at this, you'll see that this was, 2 o'clock, and then the big change, see here at 2:50. 2:30 right there. That's where you see the Powell press conference. That's where you usually see the biggest changes after the Powell press conference. That's why yesterday I had been in a locking stance on Monday, locking on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday going into the meeting, we went into a floating stance because, you can wait until after the day. What I was actually more concerned about and why we wanted to lock on Tuesday was I was concerned with the JOLTS data. Now, the JOLTS data came out after I did the video yesterday, and it came in with less job openings than expected. There were only about 8 million. Is it million? That is crazy. Isn't that a crazy number? 8 million job openings, and it's been in the nines. And that was a big deal. Now, thankfully, that was good for mortgage-backed securities. And in fact, here, let's see. We'll let Matt Graham over here at MBS Live shine for a minute, and let's take a look at his comments. Weaker ISM and JOLTS offset by higher prices. So basically, these were the two events that happened yesterday right after the live, and it was the job openings came in at 8.48 versus expectations of 8.69, and again, they've been coming in the nines. Also, ISM manufacturing fell below 50. 50 is the magic number when it comes to that stuff, where they're looking for growth, anything over 50, and then this is retraction. So that came in favorable here. The ISM prices were up higher, which was a little bit of a bite. But overall, this was actually good for us yesterday. But generally, you're going to wait to see that. As far as employment trends, Ron Siegel pointed out, manufacturing employment has stagnated. No significant changes in factory headcount over the past 6 months. That's because we don't have a large manufacturing force here in the United States, so I wouldn't expect that to change too much. Credit conditions worsening. Credit conditions have deteriorated as evidenced by a sharp decline in the credit managers index. This index fell dramatically, suggesting businesses are struggling to manage their finances amidst rising inflation, potentially higher long-term interest rates. It's always a balancing act. And again, will they be able to continue to get credit and a lifeline? I think that's going to be a big part of what we see here and why that's changing. Let's talk a little bit more about what Powell said yesterday. So yesterday, I was concerned. I did not think that we were going to get nearly as dovish of a reaction from the Fed as we did. So basically, when you've got two birds, hawkish means they're going to raise rates. They are not being what's called accommodative. Dovish means they're going to lower rates or keep things accommodative. It's a softer stance. Dovish is good for mortgage rates. Hawkish is not good for mortgage rates, okay? Now, the concern was all the groundwork has been out there for the Fed to take a more hawkish stance. What that means is for the Fed to say, hey, we don't think that we're going to be cutting. In fact, we may even hike. What we're talking about is that there were 4 questions from the different members of the press asking Powell basically the same question about hiking or lowering rates. Now, Powell actually was very clear and said that he did not think that a rate hike was on the table yet. And that was what was very, very good for rates. And when I say very, very good, I mean it helped them basically just stay where they've been. And that was about the best that we were going to see. And that's the problem. We're not going to see rates drop much from here until we see an environment that is recessionary, weaker economically, weaker with the labor market, more likely to see the Fed have to cut rates. None of that is happening yet. Now, we can argue about why. We can argue about the information within the information versus the headlines. Tomorrow, we're going to get the BLS labor data. And it is float. Do we lock or float into tomorrow? Well, there's a lot of risk. If it's near term, I would lock it. Anything closing the next couple of weeks, I wouldn't risk floating into tomorrow's jobs data because it's going to take a few days to recover. But overall, I'm leaning more towards floating than locking because it is immediately after this dovish Fed meeting. And we vacillate, right? We can only react to the data and to the environment that we're seeing. Yesterday's comments were a lot more dovish. Here's some comments from Powell. I don't know how long it'll take, Powell said, of when he and his colleagues might have the confidence to cut rates. I can just say that when we get that confidence, then rate cuts will be in scope, and I don't know exactly when that will be. And he kept reiterating that, and he kept saying that over and over. He said it many times. But like some of the things that are pointed out here, there's a clear bias towards easing, and he stuck to that, said Seth Carpenter, chief global economist at Morgan Stanley. The market discussion was about should we start pricing in rate hikes, and he was quite clear that is not where they are. Thankfully, that is the case. If we had seen talk of rate hikes yesterday, rates would have jumped quickly, violently. We would not have liked it. We'd be back up in the eights. So that is still off the table. Okay. However, will it remain off the table if the CPI data in a couple of weeks comes in showing that inflation continues to lose ground and is not getting better? I don't know. So, Ron Siegel says Powell, his big takeaway, he tried to expand the Fed vision to more than just PCE yesterday. He finally mentioned other factors being considered and that they didn't care about the wages. Yeah, and that's a good point that Ron is bringing up, is that Ron has been talking about all of these other variables that, that the Fed has not necessarily talked about. They talk about the headline things. And this was just kind of it kind of signaled that they are going deeper, looking at other things that are going on here. So, and that's it. In the past 6 weeks since the Fed's last meeting, officials have increasingly expressed concern over incoming data that appeared to show inflation stalling out or even reaccelerating. And that's really what we're going to be looking at, is that, they've seen what they call a lack of progress toward their inflation goal. And CPI is not the favored inflation number. That's the PCE, but we are going to get that CPI on the 15th, and it is going to be a spot. So for now, the problem is tomorrow's labor market data is going to hit first thing in the morning. And if it comes in strong, we could see a bit of a negative reaction, but it does look like markets are still pricing in almost the same thing as they were before the Fed meeting, which is a good sign. Again, it's kind of in our favor. It opens the door for floating into tomorrow's labor data and keeping that more open. If you've got risk aversion, if you got loans closing near term and you just want to get them lock them up for protection. Again, we're talking rates that are within a very, very strong realm. There's very little chance that we're going to see a labor report tomorrow that's going to send mortgage bonds on a rally and help rates improve much. But if they do improve, it's going to be about 1/8 of a point, right? That's probably our cap on the best possible scenario if we were to see rates improve. However, if you see rates get worse, well, they're going to go up 1/8 to 1/4 of a point. They could get worse a lot more than they could get better. I don't think that's going to happen tomorrow, though. I think that we're probably looking at some pricing move either way. This will be one of the less reactive jobs data, because the next Fed meeting now is June 12th, and it's about 6 weeks away. So we have another jobs report that will come in June between now and then. So this one is important, but there's going to be more data coming before that next Fed meeting. This labor market data is not going to affect the outlook of whether the Fed hikes or cuts or stays the same over the next couple of months. So it's really a little less, but you will see market reaction to it. So, but it does open the door so we can float a little bit more, and we've got more to go on there. So let's go ahead and end today on a little bit of a fun note. My wife is down in Florida with the girls, and they are over on the Gulf, and there is a pool. So my question of the day for you today, for those of you, is would you rather lounge by the pool or on the beach? Alan Christian, Anthony Ambrose, let me know what you think. Christy, let me know. Would you rather lounge by the pool or on the beach? I got to tell you, there was a time I used to hate the beach and hate sand. I really do enjoy it now, though. I like lounging on the beach as long as I've got cover for the sun, because this fair skin does not do well in the direct sun. I would rather lounge by the beach than the pool most of the time. Sometimes I like to go in the pool, but if we're just talking lounging, I like the waves. I like the sound of the ocean. I'm definitely on the beach. Tebow is a pool guy. Kelly Cargill is on the beach. Mallory Fotiadis, Florida girl, on the beach. Let's see what some of you guys have to say about this. Let's see your answers there. So the question of the day down there, and Jerry Avila, thank you, sir. Megan is a beach woman. She is joined with Allison Foy, also on the beach. I'm going beach. Bobby Searson, beach all day. Christy is a pool gal. She's not big on the sand. Scott Menser is a pool guy. He hates the beach. Alan Christian wants to go fishing. Listen, man, you're the guy that used to eat the crayons, aren't you? Tim Klyla can't beat Lake Michigan beaches. Yeah, that's, what's funny is, Tim, I'll be going out to Michigan in July, and my wife wants to hit the Great Lakes. We haven't done that in a long time. Michelle's a beach lover. Jason is a beach lover. Avila said, can I have both? You can at a lot of places, Avila. You could do 1 and 1, baby. Ron Siegel said, in Maui, I get to lay back and see the pool and turn over and see the beach. There you go, man. And Ron's also, don't we have great lives here as mortgage people? I know it's a tough year, but still, we do have a great life. Radir is looking at the beach. Deb Dickinson's beach, even in Washington. Steve is a beach. Let's see, pool in Yasmin. Mike said, where in July? I'm going. I have family graduating school in Dearborn, so I'll be going to Dearborn. I got here. So yeah, I'll be going to Dearborn and then but since we're out there, we'll probably do something else. So, all right, my friends. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I got to get the written email out. I have not done that today. And tomorrow we've got that labor market data. Make sure you join me. We'll be talking about what's going on with that and where we stand with that at 9:30 a.m. We'll be going over those labor market numbers. Again, cautiously float. Float into it tomorrow. I'm a little less concerned based on yesterday's Fed performance. I think markets will be a little bit calmer about it. If we do see a reaction, I think it'll just be a day or two. So if you've got some, risk averse loans closing near term that you just want to lock them, we are at the better part of that range. One more time, if I just pull this up and show you kind of what's here, looking at where we are with mortgage bonds, you can see that we're near the top of the range. See this right here? This is these candlesticks and where they've peaked out, where they've topped. We're close to that here. And it's not tomorrow's data, not going to push us through that. We would have to see like a huge miss, a huge unemployment number jump. If unemployment jumped up into the 4s, right, we'd have to see some really big moves in order to see bonds rally and take off. Very unlikely. So we're near the top end of that. It's a good time to go ahead and lock anything that's near term, closing the next couple of weeks. Looking at rate sheets, again, we dropped from the worst level to the better level. It's about 1/8 of a point, and that's about as good as we get. 7.38, we're at 7.41. Rate sheets generally don't get much better than this, and they're not likely to get much better unless we get a huge miss tomorrow. That would be a surprise. It could happen. It could happen. I don't have a crystal ball. I've given up trying to like really again, yesterday, I thought we were going to get a much more hawkish Fed. We got a dovish Fed, but even still the reaction to that dovish Fed, it really, you could see it right here. It only brought us back up to where we were earlier. It wasn't some amazing reaction that started some huge trend where rates are going better. It's not. They're better rate sheets. Somebody locking in is getting a little bit better, but not by much, not enough to get crazy excited. So, all right, my friends, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk about it then. Take care, everybody, and make it a great one. Bye-bye.